Hello, everybody. Thank you for watching. It is the American Doofus Show. Don't be a doofus. I'm your host, Barry Walsh. Again, thank you for watching. And we begin tonight with Indiana story. Two Bloomfield, Indiana women have been charged in their actions on White Wednesday on January 6th, the day that the white militants tried to overtake the U.S. Capitol, and pop this up so that you can see. According to federal court documents, both Bissey and Morgan Lloyd posted on Facebook that they were inside the Capitol. Morgan Lloyd posting that it was the best day ever, and Bissey pointing it was the most exciting day of my life. So those two women will now face federal charges for their part in what happened on January the 6th. Also today, Grandmaster Jay, leader of the NFAC, had a court hearing in Louisville, Kentucky. And as you've seen in the previous episode, if you haven't, go back and watch it. Grandmaster Jay was basically on the steps of the courthouse. He was not even in court when he received the information. And as far as I know, officially, 4 of the federal charges have been dropped. They have kept one of the federal charges. The state charges, there was still discussion as to whether they will be pursued or they too will be dropped. And there is another court date set for May. That is the official word as I know it as of right now. Now, speaking of Grandmaster Jay, I started covering the NFAC and Grandmaster Jay just about 8 months ago in July, before I even started this program. I was covering them when I was writing, beginning on January 4th with the first formation in Stone Mountain, Georgia. And I have not covered this, the fact that there was indeed a hearing about 8 months ago in the United Nations regarding the treatment of blacks in the United States. And let's just take a listen to this.
The head of the United Nations Human Rights Council and member states are backing calls for an investigation into police brutality and racial discrimination in the US. The council met for an urgent debate on Wednesday. Relatives of George Floyd and 54 African nations pressed them to address issues in the US, including systemic racism. Now, UNHCR High Commissioner Michelle Bachelet called for slavery reparations and for countries to examine their past to understand the scope of continuing systemic racism. And Philonise Floyd, George Floyd's brother, told the council black lives do not matter in the US.
And again, that was from 8 months ago, but I had not ever covered it on the program, and that was pointed out to me that that should
everyone.
Be documented. And I apologize for that. Let me get back. And my apologies for that little technical glitch there, but if we didn't have those, it wouldn't be the American Doofus Show. I get a lot of emails, and the previous video had been sent to me in the past and was resent because I had yet to include it in here, that there's actual United Nations documentation regarding international interest and investigation and in police brutality here in the United States against the black community. Now, those that watch the show know it's not a surprise that I've acknowledged that numerous times. So that's not what this was about. It was about making it official. And I've got a few emails on something that's happened over in over in Africa, in Burkina Faso, and between two individuals, both of which are Americans, one of which is over there now, and the other who is wanting to relocate. One's a male, one's a female. And I'm not going to go any farther than to acknowledge that I have those. I received those emails. Thank you for sharing that, but that's not for something. That's not something for me to get in the way of. Okay, I acknowledge that I have received those, but that's not. And the fact that she is NFAC and the fact that she's ex-military doesn't mean anything. I don't know their facts to begin with, and that leads me into the next segment. Knowing your facts. One of the other emails I was sent, and let's see if I can.
I know exactly who you talking about. Question is, why the fuck are y'all watching her? You seem to have all the answers with your fungus cottage cheese looking ass. I know exactly who they talking about. But why y'all watching her? Why y'all watching her every move? Why y'all peeping her shit? For what? Oh, these motherfuckers are devils. Now I want you to pay attention to the devil, because I want y'all to stop acting like the devil is invisible. But yes, indeed, they do sit there and try to be the convictor of it all. Listen, judgment is hanging out their ass. They're shitting right now. They're shitting lumps of shits of judgment. Okay? And they can't help themselves. Why is it so important to rule over the black people? For what? For what? Now y'all want to go. Now he's about to go Freemason. Pay attention. Pay attention. Because that's what these hunkies do.
If I can manage to pull this up without messing things up. There we go. And this was sent, and this is just one of the locations that the email, or that this video has surfaced. It was sent as proof that Trump is still the president of the United States. And let's just give a couple of seconds here.
That's some funny stuff. I told you that Biden is the shadow president for the American corporation and Trump is the president of the United States Republic. Well, here's your proof. Here you go. Read and read. And just so you know, I ain't on neither side.
So
I don't like neither one. I don't trust none of them. So don't try to put me in that mix. Just let you know what's going on. Hold on, you gotta hear that again. So, President of America, United States. Look at this shit. Of the President of the United States of America is called. This happens today.
okay, I wanted to stop the share right there because that was supposedly happened on that date, which was just a couple of days ago. It didn't. It happened over a year ago on Trump's only visit to India. That is footage of his visit to India. It's being portrayed as somehow he is still the president of the United States. And it just gives you an example of some of the stuff that's out there. So know your facts. That video was indeed a year old. Now, not everything's a year old. What I have next is from today. It's from CPAC. Those are initials, CPAC, the Conservative Political.
First of all, this is the video. So
Arena. The beast as the vehicle.
listen to the audio.
The beast as the vehicle of the President of the United States of America is called, making its way to the alighting point, escorted by the President's bodyguard, an elite force and senior-most unit of the Indian Army.
अंतरसेना सम्मान गार्ड राष्ट्रीय सलूट समाप्त चेस्ट अंतरसेना सम्मान गार्ड पंजाब चेस्ट श्रीमान अंतरसेना सम्मान गार्ड आपकी निरीक्षण के लिए हाजिर है
Lieutenant Colonel Ashish Thakur of the 5th Battalion of the 1st Gorkha Rifles, taking the President of the United States of America, Mr. Donald Trump, for his inspection. We have 6 officers and 150 other ranks in this Guard of Honor that draws its men from the 3 services. The Army, led by Captain Abhay Sheraz Sandhu, the Navy, led by Lieutenant Commander A.K. Mohanty, and the Air Force, led by Squadron Leader D.K.S. Chauhan. Mr. Trump is the 7th US President to visit India and has had a really busy schedule since yesterday when he landed in Ahmedabad, moved to Agra in the evening, and now in Delhi, which is a day-long program that is really packed to the hilt. After the inspection of the Guard of Honor, Mr. Trump and Mr. Kovind shaking hands, as he will now introduce Mr. Trump to the Indian delegates who are assembled here. And we begin with the military secretary, actually with the Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, Mr. Rajnath Singh, the Defense Minister, Mr. Jaishankar, the Foreign Minister, Mr. Harshvardhan, the Minister for Health and Family Welfare, General V.K. Singh, former Army Chief and now Member of Parliament in the Lok Sabha, the Lieutenant Governor of Delhi, Mr. Anil Baijal, Mr. Rajiv Gauba, the Cabinet Secretary,
Admiral Karambir Singh, Chief of
The results strongly support that these beings are not closely related to any known organism.
Okay. So that was a video. Okay. So let him talk.
Action Committee. It is the people behind the Republican Party, if you will, the conservative wing of the Republican Party, as it stands now. I think there may be a fragmentation coming there with Mike Pence being involved in fragmenting that, but that is then and this is now, and this is the top picture you see is an image from CPAC, from the Conservative Political Action Committee's conference that is ongoing. And it is a giant golden idol of Donald Trump wearing flip-flops and an American flag made into shorts. And it obviously, to the person that posted this, drew reference to the golden calf that the Israelites, according to the Bible, worshipped when they got tired of waiting for Moses to come down from talking to God. So I had to share that with you as something to think about, as everything that we do here. You know, we just we give you things to think about, and I hope that gives you something to think about. And also, I received an email and a video from I'll just say 15AR as far as identifying. They'll understand that. And it was a video of young Pharaoh. This ties into the CPAC, the Conservative Political Action Committee. And many of you may know young Pharaoh, a relatively popular YouTube personality and just a personality, and an entertaining video that was sent to me. But the tie-in is that young Pharaoh was invited to CPAC to be a participant in this conference, the Conservative Political Action Committee. And his invitation was revoked because he had supposedly made anti-Semitic comments, and he was questioning what he actually did. He put up $50,000 of his own money against $50,000 from the best rabbi, in his terms, to debate and to prove that the Jewish people are actually the people of Israel. And that was viewed as anti-Semitic, just questioning authenticity. Now, the problem with questioning authenticity when it comes to such matters is things are based on faith a lot of the times and not on actual evidence. So, but if you do decide, if somebody decides to take him up on the offer, I'd be glad to be one of the judges on that particular show, and Doofus Dog, a little contribution to the show tonight. Thank you very much, Oakley. But if you haven't seen that video, check it out, Young Pharaoh. And it just makes you seeing the golden calf and then knowing that, or the golden idol of Donald Trump, and knowing that Young Pharaoh is being rejected simply because of questioning something. He wasn't derogatory. He showed no disrespect from what I was able to see. But again, it should give everyone something to think about, no matter what race or creed or anything else. If you're an American and you see that kind of stuff, it should make you wonder. And actually, it shouldn't make you wonder. It should make you realize that there are certain people that are not here for everybody. They're only here for themselves. And this is just further proof. And that's not some giant epiphany revelation I just made. It's just more proof that there are people that are here simply to uphold a certain system, if you will. And that gets us to the next to last item on the agenda. A little long tonight, I know, but a lot to talk about. And that's the vaccine. And someone has reached out to me that has a connection to someone that works at one of the companies that is making the vaccine. And they're going to come on and talk to me, hopefully. And it is not an attempt to convince anybody of anything. It's an effort to get all information out there and let people make their own decisions. So when that does happen, I'm not pushing a vaccine on anybody. And I totally understand why the Black community is hesitant, especially after things that have happened in the past. And I'm not going to go into those things. Y'all are very well aware of it. And the final note for tonight is that the United States has launched missiles into Syria, missile strike today, that was deemed a warning to Iran. Now, those of you that watch the program, obviously I thank you, but you know that Chris has been on here, and within the past couple of weeks back, Chris told us, keep your eye on what's happening in Iran. Iran had launched a cruise missile, a medium-range cruise missile that landed within 20 miles of a United States aircraft carrier. Now that's not a near miss. That is a message that we could have hit that carrier if we wanted to. Potential tensions heating up between the United States and the Middle East. And also today, United States accused one of the Saudi princes in Saudi Arabia of being involved in a killing as well. So stopped arms sales to the United Arab Emirates and to Saudi Arabia. So tensions could be heating up in the Middle East with the United States. And we're going to try to have Chris on to talk about that. And I'm hoping to get Chris on before March the 4th to get his opinions on what's happening there. But definitely, and a couple of other things it might involve Trump and Putin. And I had one final word, and I can't remember what it was at the moment. So I'll just go ahead and end this up. Thanking you for watching. And we're in troubling times. We really seriously are in so many different manners and from so many different sides. And it can get real dark real fast. And there are those on all sides that are pushing for that darkness. And those of us that want to be lights, it's going to be harder and harder to be a light, but be a light. Be a light.
How can you be a light if you're a fucking liar? Huh? See, the problem with y'all is y'all can't help yourselves. You sitting here acting like you the convictor of black people's souls, and y'all don't admit the truth. How the fuck? What kind of light is this? Man, look at this mother. And this and they sit there and they be clowning. They be motherfucking clowning. Why? Why do you want to clown? With what?
Take back your soul. That was said in an EAR episode the other day. And if you only watch these for the Grandmaster Jay stuff, you're missing so much. You're missing so much more, especially with the EAR episodes. And I'm not sure if there's going to be an episode tomorrow on Saturday or not. Sunday, we will do the weekly.
truth is coming out about the black indigenous people of this continent, you see the people who are federally recognized putting a little more pressure toward trying to find a shelter, okay? Because their story is falling to pieces because they are called the modern day Indian. They are not the prehistoric Indians because they do not match what archaeologists and anthropologists have dug up, okay?
Right.
Okay, so they rather play with your mind for so many years, and in the books, like the black Indians just died and the white Indians appeared, or the Asian European Indians appeared. It didn't happen. There's no way the strongest of people, we are in melon of color, we just died out, and weak-skinned people survived in our environment. It didn't happen. And if the Indians was that independent, my people have lived underneath what all we done went through with whatever country done came here for 500 and some years, and we still here. We're not getting welfare checks. We're not asking for a casino or no handouts. We saying give us our due respect and the right to our property so we can go ahead on and do what our ancestors were doing. That's what we're saying, okay? So what you're seeing is now you see federally recognized tribes trying to embrace other countries as indigenous, and at first they weren't doing that. But they can't reach out indigenous until President Obama and the BIA get them from under just being recognized under the BIA, okay, in American Indians protection, and then try to reach to be recognized under the UN is what they're trying to do, okay?
Right. Okay.
They're starting to understand. They're starting to understand that they are not recognized as a real sovereign nation to deal with other countries, okay?
Uh-huh. Wow.
So they're trying to correct that, all right? There are several things that's going on to try to correct that. When they signed the indigenous bill, when the indigenous bill was signed for the UN, you start seeing a massive number of American Indians now calling themselves indigenous. Now, this is what I found out that I could share with you and your audience. And I would have said a couple years ago I disagree with it, but after seeing some factual papers through EPA and the UN, I will have to say this. There is somewhere in 1941, 1942, they did split us off into the indigenous Americans and the Native Americans, something we didn't know, okay? And the indigenous Americans have no, how can I put it, no paper marker. In other words, when you go do something, you don't see nothing asking for an indigenous Indian. You see what it asks for Native American. Okay?
Right.
So the word Native American is chartered or owned by the United States. But indigenous is not showing up. What I'm getting ready to do is start to going toward, okay, if you said I'm indigenous, now give me my indigenous block. You see what I'm saying? So I can mark myself back into existence. But now you got the Native Americans fixing to move to the indigenous block, where they've been telling us, you are not Native American. If you notice, the federally recognized tribes get real furious when people of color, including the Freemans, who are more Indian than them, say that they Native American. They control that. It is locked down like a mafia, okay? They say who come in, they say who cannot come in.
Right.
And they're the same ones that are pushed for laws to stop digging in the mounds and all of this stuff, like grave protection. No, that is so that they don't open the book of Mother Earth so it tell the truth. Mother Earth gonna say black, okay?
Right.
And they're not gonna match what's in the earth.
Now that's going to be an issue that we're going. I want you to say that because that's real good. We're going to pretty much go that direction because that's why I want you to keep people in to how we can get involved with that. But let's go back to a little bit more of this history because we got a long way to go here. I want to ask you because me and you have talked about this. Being that the confusion that we seem to have even today in 2016 today is this concept of this indigenous class of people. If Africans were brought over here, and we do the records, y'all, this is the least amount of Africans in this hemisphere. The largest group of continental Africans from the continent, and I don't know which part at the time, but the continent came into Brazil and those areas. So we know America didn't even have a super high amount. Let's just do the numbers now. So whatever the story they're telling us seems to be conflicted. Now we got to say that somehow they were able to use a group of blacks to actually a group of blacks. Now I'm just going to because we can't argue the color no more because everybody knows the color of everybody. The predominant number is already dark. So get that out your mind now. Color is not relevant because most people on Earth is already dark. But this particular group of dark people decided to, let's just say, come in, use maybe the color game until y'all learn the languages, and kind of like helped in agreements with Europe to bring in more people. And because I think, and from what I'm seeing through the books and this is written down archaeological history, they were able to get large groups of blacks to go along with this plan to integrate because it was so easily used by there were so many other black people here. I think we don't really want to know the numbers of free blacks because that might make people scared, especially in Louisiana, because Louisiana has a strange history. I read that Louisiana had a high number of black slave owners.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, and so we don't like to talk about that.
You had a lot of free black people. You remember you got free people of color who came to this country, okay? And they were black Europeans. They owned slaves. A lot of the black Europeans is who mixed to get what you want to call a Creole today, okay? All people of Louisiana is not classified and have never been classified as a Creole. And that image needs to stop because there's a difference down here in these bayous. They're in classification. We got Creoles, Negroes, Cajuns. We have Passe Blancs and Free Jacks. Which one are you is what we have to ask people, okay? So Louisiana have more little kick names than Creole, okay? Now, let me break it down to you a little bit. A Creole, they keep saying, is a little bit of this and a little bit of that. They get you a Creole. Well, let me tell you about a Passe Blanc. A Passe Blanc is a person of color that wants to pass for white. Okay? A Passe Blue is a person that is white wanting to pass for black. Okay? Then you got a Free Jack. They so bright they can get over on the other side, nobody know Jack. Okay? And then you got a Creole. And a Creole don't fit in with none of the rest. Okay? So Creoles have what they call Creole societies. Okay? They in their own world. Okay? Then you got the Indians. And then you got what they would call blacks, who was called colored or Negro or whatever. So Louisiana history don't match up with everybody else. When everybody started being out in the field on plantation, New Orleans Creoles had slaves that had the day off. And they could go party and everything. I just went to a thing the other day, accidentally walked into it because I was going to look at a building. They got a thing in New Orleans I didn't even know they have. And it's called Day Off from the Plantation Celebration. And that was Creoles giving that. That wasn't black folks, that was Creoles.
Hey, okay. Hold on, let's get some clarity there because me and you talked earlier because all this big hoopla about Beyonce's song talking about the Creoles and so forth like that. But let me ask you, you told me a little bit of history about which is getting ready to happen with Ash, had the Ashes of the Wednesday, they got Fat Tuesday coming about this so-called Mardi Gras.
That's just the Catholic people do all of it. Just the Catholic people go and get ashes, okay? Now, I'm not in to go and get no ashes. Anybody gonna put no ashes on me, okay? I ain't giving up nothing for 40 days. See, they got that whole image on everybody. I ain't giving nothing up for 40 days, okay? I don't know nothing about no voodoo and no hoodoo. That's not my religion. Actually, those religions came into Haiti and stuff by way of the Africans that they first brought into Haiti. Correct?
Great.
So
that's what happened.
Those religions wasn't it's tagged on Haiti, but that was people who came into Haiti with that. And just as they came into Haiti with it, they got some of the Haitians who came into New Orleans and brought their religion. I have nothing against that. Just like I don't have nothing against the Catholic people religion. Those are those people religions. But don't take and put it on everybody. Now, back to the thing with Beyonce. First of all, I got Creole cousins that now that they done studied their history, they ashamed to tell somebody they're Creole. When you really study the history. Okay?
Go ahead.
When you really study the history,
When you
because
really
this is not me, this is the history. People need to study history before they claim certain titles. Because a Creole, from what the white man say, was the white man creating a race to hold down the black folks and control and creating a race that he could control, which would be part of him, so he could control that. Okay? Because he couldn't control that which was indigenous and native. So he created a race, okay? So, also, Creole women was created to sell back to other countries as sex slaves, okay? Manufactured people by Europeans, okay?
Go ahead.
They created a color. They did this wherever they went, and the people really study eugenics. Okay, because all of these so-called historians, none of them touch upon eugenics.
That's right.
Everybody talk about racism. Eugenics is more deadly than racism. Okay? Racism is a level of eugenics. Genocide is a level of eugenics. But the core point is creating the perfect white race. That's eugenics. That's not racism. Okay?